Welcome to issue 184 of Critical Encounters, a podcast about Marvel Champions, a living card game by Fantasy Flight Games. Here, we take a good look at that most critical piece of the game, the encounter sets. We'll discuss those poorly understood characters, unfairly labeled villains, and their various plans to shape humanity and benefit the planet, as well as those so-called heroes intent on thwarting them. I'm one of your hosts, Senior Quality Assurance Specialist at Fantasy Flight Games, Zach Tewaltimus, and with me, of course, are Steve.
Hi, Zach.
And Mike.
Hey, Zach, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys?
A little long in the tooth, but otherwise all right.
Very nice.
Long in the tooth. I get it. We got Zach back on from FFG, and you know what, Zach? We're not going to make you do any work tonight.
Oh, that's great. My favorite kind of work to do.
I know you guys just sort of finished Gen Con. I'm sure you're all worked out, so we're just going to have you on. You're going to enjoy an issue with us, so I look forward to it.
Well, it's good to be here. Couldn't get anyone else. Everyone else is all. I wasn't actually at Gen Con, so I was all that was left. All that was left at the studio, and I was the only person you could get. But I'll just consider it an honor, and I'm just happy to be here.
I noticed someone posted the Deadpool preview on the official website on a Saturday. My goodness.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely lining up with Gen Con, and that is actually, I'm super excited about Deadpool, and everything. There's so much good stuff jammed into that pack. I'm not gonna spoil anything specifically right now because I'd have to double check with the announcement. But yeah, lots of good stuff. More good stuff to come from that pack over the next coming weeks and such. So
awesome,
nice.
Awesome. Mike, I think this is the pack that Molly Glover was excited about, but she couldn't tell us.
Probably, I think she just submitted the art briefs for it, and it makes sense seeing what we've seen of this pack. It's really playing with the templating and the breaking the fourth wall a bit.
Yep.
Yeah, looks fun.
And like all sorts of just fun stuff and like little tiny details, and like the graphic design team did just an amazing job with it. Like from the design team with the mechanics all the way through to sort of like playing it and testing it, and all the way through to the actual like physical presentation. Yeah, I'm incredibly excited about this one. Can't wait for it to get out.
I can't wait for someone to play Deadpool alongside Star-Lord and get absolutely crushed.
Let's do that. Let's play that game.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Where's Daniel?
Oh yeah, where's Daniel? Spot World maybe? Finally investigating? No. Okay.
I've been keeping him away from that.
Oh, good.
Besides, we don't want him interacting with Caleb.
Right.
It's a pretty popular vacation destination these days.
Well, since Daniel's not here, I have to ask Steve. Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
What's on your mind tonight?
Oh, thanks for asking. What on my mind is a who. It's Alex M., one of our patrons. We wanted to say thank you to Alex for being a patron. And, we love the support, both, the donation, but really just the listening and talking about it and interacting and hopefully he enjoys the show and is really having a good time, because I know we are, and we just love to see the patrons. But we do have to give Alex a job, right, Mike? Everyone's got a nice new job. We've upgraded.
We have so many openings to fill.
Yeah. So
getting vacated.
I know there's a lot of turnover amongst our minions.
Especially in this job.
Yeah. Well, okay, so this job, we are going to give Alex the Osborne guinea pig, the Osborne tech beta tester position. All right. Maybe we'll make it senior tech beta tester. How about that?
I mean, he is the most senior one at this point.
At this point, yeah. You get to be the first one to try out all the hottest tech from the crazed, brilliant minds of Norman Osborn. Medical insurance not included. Thanks, Alex.
Thanks a lot.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's fun. Like eye socket things and stuff like that. So
yeah.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Just hold the pointy end away from you.
All right. Well, what are we doing tonight, Mike?
Yeah, you made me do all the work. What the heck?
We're going to talk about what our first villain in the Mutant Genesis campaign box, right?
We are.
The very, very first one. Okay. And Mike, you're going to tell us all about it. So take it away, I guess.
All right. Here we go. I'm going to call this...
Time.
Yeah, story time. Put your feet up. Come by the fire. Daniel's chair is empty, so sit over there.
Comfortable.
All right. So over the next couple episodes, we're going to learn about Sabretooth. Normally when we do these things, we do the backstory here in this one, and then we do some secondary story in the next one. But based on how this character is presented in the Marvel Comics, I'm going to switch that up a little bit. Today, we are going to examine the backstory of the character we all think of when we hear the name Sabretooth. And then next week, we'll look at his original adaptation because, spoiler alert, Marvel re-engineered the character.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that wild?
Oh, the character's mutated over the years.
In a sense.
I'm going to use that statement for like the next 2 years while we do all these mutants. So people should just get used to it.
Oh, Lord. All right. What do you know about Sabretooth?
What do I know about Sabretooth?
Yeah, what do you guys know about Sabretooth?
I know that he's a mutant who I think he regenerates. He looks like a saber-toothed tiger, and somehow he's related to Wolverine. That's what I know.
He's pretty grumpy.
Yep, he's like Wolverine, but on the other team. Yeah, so Sabretooth was introduced as a minor villain of the X-Men back in 1986, and then really came into his own in the 90s. Now, if you want to read his backstory for yourself, it is really easy with these X-Men characters. There's a whole series out there called X-Men Origins, and the Sabretooth edition was published. It's just a one-shot in 2009. So really easy to find, and there's a whole bunch more out there.
Nice.
So Sabretooth, as we heard back in Daniel was talking about Mystique, his name is Victor Creed. He is also a psychopath. The first glimpse we have of him is him as a child killing his brother over a piece of pie on his brother's birthday.
Well, now, and I mean, do we know a bit more about that pie? Like, for instance, was it like earmarked for Victor? Like, what's the relationship with the brother? Like, maybe it was a totally justified killing.
It might have been. You see, it was his brother's birthday, and that was his brother's piece of pie, and Victor wanted it.
Well, you see.
It's like a Smeagol-Deagle situation here.
Give us that deal, my love. Why? Because it's my birthday, and I want it.
Exactly. Except instead of like the one ring of power, you're getting like an extra slice of chocolate cake.
Okay, strawberry rhubarb pie. Okay.
Yeah. Now, does anyone actually know how old Sabretooth is?
I think he's pretty old.
He is pretty old. I don't have an exact date or anything, but we know Wolverine's old.
Right.
And I think Sabretooth's origin kind of around the same time because we see some early 19th century stuff in the background. That's kind of what I'm thinking here, maybe a little earlier. But
pie was much more valuable back then. It was a big deal back in like the late 1800s, turn of the century. Yeah. Pie they were all about it. So
that's true. That is true. All right, we're gonna go with that. But what this means is that his father was very fundamentalist. His name Jebediah.
Well, there you go.
Proclaimed after this killing that the child has the devil in him. The proof of which being Victor's elongated canines. So Jebediah locks Victor up in their cellar with his hands against the wall, so he can't, access anything. Chains him up like that for years, and every season comes down there to rip out the canines that have grown back.
Wow,
that's where the devil is.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can maybe see why he's a bit sort of gone through a lot, maybe a little bit disturbed and whatnot.
A bit grumpy, perhaps.
Yeah, perhaps a bit grumpy, a little bit of an annual. You go to the dentist like maybe once or twice a year and get your teeth cleaned, but he gets his ripped out of his head. That's
Yeah. Yep.
can't be.
Yeah, ouch.
Yeah.
They keep coming back because he regenerates. And now one day he is able to actually rip one of the shackles from the wall, allowing him to maneuver his body to his other hand so he can chew it off to free himself. He then surprises his parents, blood everywhere, holding his severed hand. And then he unceremoniously just beats his father to death and then strikes out on his own.
Okay. Well, at least the story had a happy ending.
Yeah. His mother lived. His mother was kind of under the father's thumb a little bit. She did what the father said, but you could tell she didn't want to. It was just that sort of family, right? So it is revealed in later issues that his mother did live.
Well, that's good.
Okay, so years later, I mean, this must be 1800s because he comes upon Wolverine in the midst of a bar fight, I believe in a saloon, perhaps a saloon fight, and he joins in the fun because hey, it's a fight, right? And they sense in each other kindred spirits after the fight, and they start a broship, as it will. But a bone of contention between them continuously is that Sabretooth embraces his aggressive tendencies, while Wolverine buries them deep inside and attempts to do the heroic thing.
Huh.
Oh.
I mean, we know that Wolverine has gone a bit nuts and done some pretty violent things himself.
Yeah, and that's how he knows, right? He's like, oh, he obviously wants to do this, but he can't. He keeps holding him back. So Sabretooth gives him a birthday present. He kills his
pie?
girl. No, he kills his girl.
Oh, that sounds like a worse birthday present than pie.
No, get this, because now Wolverine has an excuse to just go all out. Because all Wolverine has wanted, in Sabretooth's point of view, is unbridled aggression. And now he has given him an excuse to just unleash his fury and be who he really is.
Okay. All right.
And then Sabretooth completely beats the snot out of him. It's awesome. Go villains.
He's like, come at me, bro. And then he beats him up. I love it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
So they do encounter each other many times over the years. Once when they are both recruited to a covert ops group known as Team X, during which they have their memories routinely erased so that they don't kill each other. Because their memories do slip back from time to time, usually after a trigger word or stimulus, like, hey, did I mention that today's my birthday? And that just starts the whole thing again.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's great. So Wolverine eventually leaves Team X, but Sabretooth keeps up a rather sadistic tradition from that point on. Every year, on Wolverine's birthday, Sabretooth hunts him down, wherever he may be, to give him an excuse to fight him. Is someone around in the immediate vicinity? They're dead now. Come at me, bro. Oh, so, yeah, he takes immense pleasure in this, right? And he truly believes that he is gifting Wolverine this pleasure.
I don't know. I mean, after like 100 years or so of trying the same present over and over, though, I feel like maybe you should shake it up a little bit. I mean, sure, he's killing a different person. There's always someone new, or like there's different circumstances, but I feel like, I mean, the theme, I mean, times are changing, people change.
Something to be said about tradition, though, right? I mean,
well, yeah.
Well, and the gift may be a little self-serving because he wants to fight someone too.
It's like buying someone a game that you really want to play in the hopes that then they'll be playing it and you'll get to play it a lot.
Yeah, that's it. Poor guy.
That's why I buy my kids Legos on their birthday. So.
So yeah, that's Sabretooth, and that's why he has this obsession/rivalry with Wolverine. Now, I barely scratched the surface with this guy because there's a ton that he gets involved in. He starts out as a bit character, having just minor run-ins with the X-Men, but eventually becomes a big deal. He gets adamantium enhancements through this Weapon X program because everything with X-Men has to have X in it. He gets killed, goes to hell, comes back, yada yada. He forms the 11th incarnation of the Brotherhood of Mutants with Black Tom Cassidy, Avalanche, Juggernaut, Nocturne, Exodus, and someone named Mammomax. I don't know who that is.
Is it like a woolly mammoth mutant X-Men kind of guy?
I'm not Googling that on a work computer.
Oh, okay. I'll do it.
You do it. Okay, cool. So the point is, there's lots to explore. So if you're
It
interested,
is. It
there's
is
plenty available. Is it really?
an
Okay.
anthropomorphic elephant.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it is safe to Google.
I'm going to tag Marvel at the end of that just to make sure. Maximus Jensen. Oh my God, you're right. Literally an anthropomorphic mammoth.
Yes.
Yeah, the etymology of the word, you might think something a little different.
Yeah. This is, wow, he's got 4 tusks.
That's way more than your average mammoth.
Hey, why isn't he a villain? Probably because
maybe
he's
he
only been in...
cleaned up and sort of went straight. Now he works as an accountant somewhere.
Oh.
I would think a historian, since he would never forget.
Ooh, I like that. He should not be mistaken for Tantra, another elephant-like mutant.
Oh my goodness.
This is a thing.
All right, I see some custom mods coming up.
Yeah, that's Sabretooth, guys.
Wow,
okay,
crazy.
Cool. So that's one version of Sabretooth. Next week we'll tell us all about a different version of Sabretooth.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how those two stack up against one another.
I'm crying inside. Hey, let's go monologuing.
All right, so let's look at some cards. So Sabretooth comes in the Mutant Genesis campaign. He is the first scenario, and there are 17 total cards, 10 encounter cards, 7 by title, plus the villain, the main schemes, and 2 setup cards. The suggested modular sets are Mystique and Brotherhood, and tonight we're going to look at the villain, the main scheme, and the other cards that start during setup. Mike, since you gave us such a great Sabretooth backstory, why don't you give us the Sabretooth villain cards?
Awesome. All right, this is Sabretooth. He is Brotherhood of Mutants traded. He has 1 scheme, 2 attack, both with friendly little stars next to it. Forced response. After Sabretooth activates against you, discard the top card of the encounter deck. Heal damage from Sabretooth equal to the number of boost icons discarded this way. And he has 13 hit points per player. On side 2, he gets a boost to his scheme. He's now 2 scheme, 2 attack, toughness, and he has the same forced response. 15 hit points per player. And then finally, on his version 3 side, he gets 2 scheme, 3 attack, toughness, and retaliate 1 with the same forced response, and 18 hit points per player.
Oof. All right. So his card and the rest of the scenario kind of don't mix per se. So we could talk a lot about Sabretooth and then get into the rest of the cards, I think. Because the healing factor on Sabretooth is pretty unique and requires some attention, I think.
A little bit. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Add a 0. That's how many hit points he has. Really, right?
Oh.
130, 150, 180.
I mean, yeah. Essentially, yeah, just a ton. He'll be back.
So every time he activates, because scheme or attack, you have to discard the top card of the encounter deck and heal him the number of boost icons. Not special boosts, just regular boosts. But you do it even if he's at full health. So he is burning through the encounter deck at all play levels, like all player counts, I think.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, that's almost like the sort of subtle, not necessarily overt threat that Sabretooth is posing. It's like, yeah, he's healing.
Right, you're looking at his attack value.
Oh,
you're looking at the other cards, but then, whoa, I just milled out. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like that's well balanced in this game. It's a legitimate threat without being too overwhelming.
His stats seem appropriate, right? For the first villain in a box, and he's better attacking than scheming. His hit points are okay. All in all, he's pretty solid. He can be frustrating if you were bringing a deck that does a little ping damage because he just heals it up right away.
Yeah, you kind of got to focus on him pretty hard. Once you start getting mobbed up or distracted by minions, then that's when he can sort of, you undo all your hard work.
Yes.
Yep. I seem to recall I brought Gamora and was doing reasonably well, except a lot of my damage was ping damage, and we were in a 4-player game, so he was averaging 6 or 7 activations a turn with all of the bonus activations you can get in this and in the standard encounter set. It was wild.
So stunning or confusing him will prevent him from healing because he has to activate to heal, right?
Yep.
So that'll help. And we'll talk about the regular encounter cards next week, but they say FFG tells us to play with Mystique and Brotherhood. Well, Mystique set has 2 cards that have a 3 boost icon, so there's a lot of healing. And then the Brotherhood, every card in it is a 2 boost, I think, plus there's a 3 in there. So those modular sets can heal him up pretty quickly. You're only going to hit some no boost icons out of like the standard encounter set. So he can be frustrating when you're.
Yeah, that first game I played, we didn't know what we were getting into. And like I said, with 4-player, like we called the game after 2 hours and we'd beaten the first 4.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? We're good. This is awesome. But then I played the next day 2-player, knowing what I was getting into, and we had a blast.
Right. Yeah, I think that is a good distinction going into a blind. So
that's kind of my preferred way to dive into a brand new like villain, honestly. Just take something fun that I put together and just like run blind at it without really looking into it too much ahead of time. And half the time, you lose, but then it's like, okay, cool. Now let's do it for real.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to play too. I do have one quibble. I got a quibble. Is that all right? Can I quibble here?
Ooh, yeah, you can quibble.
Here's my quibble. His forced response. A lot of times they give these forced responses like cool flavor text names, like healing factor or something. He doesn't get that. That's just sad. Sandman has like his sand blast and stuff like that. This is just
forced response.
I assumed it was because it doesn't change. Normally you see that on abilities that change over different forms.
Could be. I like the little.
I'd ask Caleb, but I can't find him.
Oh,
yeah, we haven't seen him for quite a while.
Yeah, have you? Yeah, haven't spotted him in a while.
No.
Oh well.
Anyways.
Okay, so let's move on to the schemes here, shall we?
Yeah, sure. I can read that over. All right. So on the 1A side, it just tells you what to put in the counter deck and whatnot. Or basically how to set up. So you got Sabretooth, the 1, 2, and 3, depending on how you're going to play via normal versus expert mode. Sabretooth and standard sets, as well as the 2 modular sets which were previously mentioned, Brotherhood and Mystique. Unless you're playing full random or something, or throwing your own in there, which is totally fine. Otherwise, part of setup, you put the Find the Senator side scheme into play, and you attach the Robert Kelly ally to it. And while attached to Find the Senator, Robert Kelly is in play, but under no player's control, because he's hiding under a desk or something. On the 1B side, the main scheme, it's... let's see, the forced response is after resolving step 1 of the villain phase, deal 2 damage to Robert Kelly. 3 damage instead if there's at least 6 threat per player on this card. And while Robert Kelly is attached to Find the Senator, treat his text box as if it were blank. And if Robert Kelly leaves play, the players lose the game, because you've got to save the Senator from Sabretooth.
That line made me so sad. Like, I can't kill this
language.
Really?
Yeah.
This is an interesting main scheme because it starts at 0 threat per player, it goes up by 1 per player, and has no maximum. It doesn't really matter how much threat is on here once you hit the 6th threat per player, right?
That's right, yeah.
You don't lose if this tops out, eventually you'll lose because Robert Kelly will die. So, Mike, either one of you, have you played where this has reached that 6th threat per player level?
No, because I get scared.
Haven't personally, exactly, yeah.
I've gotten close for sure.
I had a game recently in prep for this where I let it get to 6 on purpose to see how it would go, and I didn't feel bad that Kelly took an extra point of damage, but I was worried he might die later on, and so.
Nice.
Yeah, because sets like this, you see it all the time. You saw it in tower defense and stuff. The thing you're trying to protect, there's always a card that just auto damages.
Yep.
And there's no way to get around it.
Yeah, so that becomes the timer instead of the threat going on the scheme. And yeah.
We'll talk about Kelly, but he has 9 hit points. So,
man, he's tough for a senator.
Yeah.
I think 8 of that are his like Secret Service or his bodyguards dying off.
No, it's a snake skin.
Oh, okay. Well, we are we said this earlier. We are villain apologists, but not politician apologists.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
All right. Well, let's. Should we talk about Find the Senator first?
I think that's next. Yeah, I think that's next. Find the Senator is the side scheme that you're going to put out during setup, and it says Robert Kelly cannot be healed by player card effects and cannot have upgrades attached. When defeated, the first player detaches Robert Kelly from this scheme and takes control of him. Advance to main scheme 2A, flip this card and place it next to the main scheme. It is a crisis, and it has 5 threat per player on it.
Oh, so you can't even thwart down the Stalked by Sabretooth scheme.
Right.
Yep.
You can't. Yep. Okay, so this is out. You can't heal Kelly. You can't put attachments on him. You really can't interact with him at all at this point. But eventually you're going to clear this. Or if you don't, Kelly dies. I would guess. And it's going to flip over, and there's an environment on the other side, which says, protect the Senator. So we have found the Senator. Now we're protecting the Senator. And it is an environment card with a mission trait. Robert Kelly cannot be healed by player card effects. It cannot have upgrades attached. Okay, nothing new there. Hero response. After your hero defends against an attack from Sabretooth, spend 2 resources of any type. Ready your hero. Only the player who controls Robert Kelly can trigger this ability.
It's so nice that the Senator allows you to basically become like a meat shield for him over and over and over again.
It's so thoughtful of him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could defend against Sabretooth if you're the player with Kelly, and that's going to be the first player. You could spend 2 resources, which isn't that cheap, to ready up. And I guess you're going to want to do that for some reason. So,
Apparently. It is so satisfying to have an undefended attack go through and deal 6 damage to Robert Kelly. When you're like nearing the end of the game. You're like, yeah, whatever. Let's see how big a hit he's going to take. Yeah, got him.
Yeah. Mike, why don't you read Senator Kelly, and then after we hear about him, I'm going to tell you a little about who this Kelly character is even.
Sure, let's do that. This is Robert Kelly. He has no thwart and no attack, because why would he? He has 9 hit points. Senator traded. The first player controls Robert Kelly. He does not count against your ally limit. Oh, jeez. Imagine if he did.
Oh, he really should.
Yeah. And he cannot have player cards attached. Forced interrupt when an enemy resolves an undefended attack against you. Nope, it's dealt to Kelly.
Okay. And a distinction here. It's not that he has no thwart, no attack. He has a dash thwart and a dash attack, so he cannot thwart or attack. It's not like a 0, right? It's a straight up not. So
Right.
Unless it's like a dash attack, like Mega Man or something.
Oh, he's like Quicksilver.
Yeah. He looks like Quicksilver, doesn't he?
He does. So he's going to bounce around the first player. You can't heal him. You can't put cards on him. And if you don't defend against Sabretooth, he takes the damage. Oh, wait. If you don't defend against any enemy, he takes the damage.
Yeah, so when Mystique's out and mimicking Sabretooth, yeah, you still got a defender.
Right. Very interesting. Okay. Yep. Yeah, and we know that if he dies, we lose. So you can't just let him take too much damage. Yeah, and he's going to be wounded from the early game, right?
Yeah, yep. The best way to finish, I would say, yes, I completely agree. The best way to finish this scenario is to let him take one nice hit at the very end, putting him down to 1 or 2 health.
Yeah.
Because this guy, he's going to be putting you through such hell throughout the entire time.
Yep.
It's just good life experience that you're providing him. It builds character.
You're just going to show him that you could have.
Yeah. Now, an interesting thing I discovered too, is you're going to put the Brotherhood set in, right? And the Brotherhood has Pyro, who deals indirect damage. So when Pyro attacks you, if you have Kelly, you can just not defend that because it ends up being indirect that you can put anywhere you want.
Andy.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's true because the way indirect works versus this forced interrupt. I hope that's true.
Yeah, get Robert Kelly to the safety of that armored car or whatever, but with his suit jacket on fire.
Yeah. All right, so who is Robert Kelly? Let me tell you about Robert Kelly. I had the pleasure, or the whatever the opposite of pleasure is, of looking up some info on Kelly. Kelly first appears in X-Men 133 in 1980, the same time several of our Brotherhood of Mutants show up. So he worked for the NSA. He then becomes a senator for Massachusetts. Now, he is all worried about mutants as a national security threat, so he teams up with Sebastian Shaw, the Black King of the Hellfire Club that we talked about a little bit ago, who is secretly himself a mutant, and also Kevin Bacon.
Wait, he's also secretly Kevin Bacon, or Kevin Bacon is also secretly a mutant?
Yes and yes. We'll just say yes. Yes to all. Okay. So Kelly is the one who promotes the idea of the Mutant Registration Act, which prompts an assassination attempt on his life by the Brotherhood of Mutants. And the assassination causes this dystopian future where the Sentinels take over the planet. They go after mutants and then eventually humans as well. And they just control everything. It's Kitty Pryde, or Shadowcat, that eventually sends her consciousness back in time to her younger self to stop the Brotherhood and saves Kelly. Yay. Okay.
I had bananas for dinner too.
Yeah. Okay. So they save Kelly. However, the whole incident just fuels his desire to now pass the Registration Act because, he was about to be assassinated and he isn't. So he really is hating on the mutants now. And then later on, his wife gets killed as collateral damage in a fight involving the X-Men. So he orders even more Sentinels to be made. Like, he just doubles down on it.
Damn.
Yeah. He eventually becomes the chairman of Mutant Affairs, and he supports Operation Zero Tolerance, which is something we will talk about in the next villain, when we talk about the next villain in the box, right? This is kind of where his timeline ends, because there's a bunch of things that happen to him later on that just, they don't make sense for this. But eventually, in the long run, he does reevaluate his stance against like all mutants and decides that maybe not all mutants are bad, which eventually actually, ironically, gets him killed by an anti-mutant activist who thinks Kelly has gone soft on mutants. So
you can't win.
He can't win. He cannot. So.
Well, there's something to be said for eventually, you get what you deserve in some cases.
A little bit of karma, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
A little bit of karma creeping in way late, a little bit late, but at least it happened.
Yeah. And we see Kelly in like the original X-Men movies with Patrick Stewart. We see him in the 90s cartoon, right? He's in all the comics and stuff. So he's now in our game. So he's been around.
Yeah, he's one of the most well-known senators in sort of
like
the
the
world
Marvel
of Marvel
universe. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, we still have one card left, and we're going to give it to Zach here. We need to figure out what this Scheme 2A is that you have to put out after you have found the senator.
Oh, yeah. Well, when you find the senator, he will no doubt be pretty badly injured from running circles around a table, being chased by Sabretooth. And so the aptly titled main scheme is Scheme 2A, is called The Injured Senator. Sabretooth has wounded Senator Kelly and continues to hound him. When you reveal it, you deal each player a face down and counter card. All right, so then you flip it. And then there's like a threat limit of 9 per player on this card. Get Robert Kelly to safety before Sabretooth finishes the job. When it's completed, Robert Kelly's defeated. And if Robert Kelly leaves play, players lose the game. So if the threat hits its threshold, then goodbye Robert Kelly. And if Robert Kelly goes away in any other way as well, y'all lose the game. So yeah, it's basically keep Kelly safe and take down Sabretooth.
Yeah, that 9 starts to look really daunting after a couple cycles through that encounter deck.
Yeah, it starts at 0 and goes up by 1 per player. But yeah, that 9 can come up quick. I do really, really like that the developers decided, instead of it saying when completed the players lose the game, no, they said when completed defeat Robert Kelly. Like they also want to take him out. So
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Okay, well that's the main setup. Those are the cards you can have in play when you start this scenario. What do we think? It seems a little unique from other scenarios, right?
Quite. Quite. I think this is what Daniel was alluding to back when I was being the only one really poo-pooing Hella's scenario. I said it was good, but it needed something pushing you forwards, and this one pushes you forwards.
Yeah, it's nice, like the whole like, sure, you've got to take down the villain, but it's also a villain that's regenerating, and you also have to like focus on these other things, which means you're not always able to focus on the villain, so it can get pretty tricky at times depending on how things go.
Yeah,
and I think that makes it interesting, keeps it interesting.
Turtling's hard because the threat just goes up and up and up, faster and faster and faster. And slight spoiler, but he's got cards in there that penalize you for him being at full health. So if you're not taking him down, then you get hit harder.
Yeah. And eventually Kelly will just die, right? Eventually you're going to not be able to defend enough attacks against him. So, yeah. I think it's a great opening scenario, at least at setup. And we're going to have to take a look at all the encounter cards next week.
Sounds good.
Oh my god. I have to wait till next week to learn about all the new encounter cards?
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't wait that long.
Well, you know what? People who don't want to wait that long, they could contact us to tell us their thoughts about the setup for Sabretooth. Mike, how would they do that?
Yeah, and I also want them to tell us who their favorite senator in the Marvel Universe is. You can email us at criticalencounterspod@gmail.com. We are Critical Encounters on Facebook. You can find our YouTube channel or Patreon by searching for Critical Encounters Podcast. And on Discord, we are Vardane, Big Bone Loaf, and 2.
Yeah, and if you like our show, tell your friends. And if you don't like our show, tell your enemies. Sabretooth, take us out.
I'll rip your guts out. Ah!
Rawr. Rawr. Perfect. We always give Mike the little roars.
That's fun.